The grand dining hall fell silent the moment my son spoke. 5 years of absolute silence, 5 years of specialists and therapists telling me to accept it, and he chose that moment, with 50 guests watching, to say one word. Mama. He pointed at the waitress carrying dessert trays. I froze mid-conversation with the governor. My lieutenants stopped eating. Even the musicians lowered their instruments. The woman he pointed to wasn't his mother. His mother died in childbirth, taking her secrets with her. This stranger in a simple black uniform stood there, tray trembling slightly, staring at my son like she'd seen a ghost. My hand instinctively moved toward my weapon. Who was she? Why did my silent child speak for her? And why did her eyes hold recognition I couldn't place? I cornered her in the staff hallway 20 minutes later. The kitchen noise faded as I closed the door behind us. She didn't flinch when I approached. Most people cowered. She simply met my eyes, calm and unnervingly fearless. Your name, I demanded. Livia Castellano, she answered softly. The surname struck something deep in my memory, but I couldn't grasp it. You know my son? She hesitated, then shook her head. I've never met him before tonight, Mr. Moretti. The way she said my name, not Don, not Sir, felt familiar. Too familiar. Then why did he call you Mama? Her lips parted slightly. Perhaps he sees something I don't understand yet. She turned to leave, then paused. We've met before, Arthur. You just don't remember. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed endlessly. I stood in my office, staring at old photographs I rarely examined. Then I saw it, a faded picture from the orphanage, 25 years ago. I was 8, angry at the world, covered in bruises from fighting older boys. A teenage volunteer smiled beside me, her hand on my shoulder, the same warm eyes, the same gentle smile. Livia. She'd been there during my darkest year, before my father's organization found me and pulled me into this life. She'd read to me, brought me extra food, told me I was worth something. I'd forgotten her face, but never her kindness. My phone buzzed. A text from my head of security. Background check complete. Livia Castellano, orphanage volunteer, 12 years, medical training, no criminal record. The boardroom felt colder than usual. 8 men sat around the table, all loyal, all dangerous. Vittorio Russo, my oldest lieutenant, cleared his throat. The Zanetti family is moving product through our territory. I didn't look up from the reports. Handle it. There's more, Vittorio continued. They mentioned something about a woman, said she could destroy everything you've built. My jaw tightened. What woman? Marco, my enforcer, leaned forward. They didn't specify, but they seemed confident, said you'd know who they meant. The Zanettis never bluffed without information. Someone was feeding them intelligence. I dismissed the meeting early, my mind racing. Could they mean Livia? How would they even know about her? Unless someone inside my organization was watching me closer than I realized. Livia appeared at my office door 3 days later. My secretary tried stopping her, but I waved her through. She carried something small in her hand, my son's toy car left behind at the restaurant. He dropped this, she said, placing it on my desk. Our fingers brushed. Electricity shot through me. You didn't have to come personally. She smiled slightly. I wanted to see if he was all right. Children who don't speak often carry heavy burdens. You seem to know a lot about that. I worked with traumatized children for years. She turned to leave, but something white fell from her pocket. A handkerchief. I picked it up and my blood ran cold. Embroidered in the corner was a symbol I hadn't seen in 15 years, my father's personal mark, known only to his inner circle. I found my son in the hallway the next morning, hiding behind a marble column. He clutched a piece of paper, peeking around the corner toward the kitchen where Livia was helping prepare breakfast. She'd started coming daily, somehow convincing my staff to let her volunteer. I approached quietly. What are you doing, Piccolo? He didn't startle. Instead, he showed me the paper, a crayon drawing of 2 figures holding hands. One tall with dark hair, one smaller with kind eyes, him and her. His first drawing ever. Tears I couldn't afford to show burned behind my eyes. I knelt beside him. You like her? He nodded vigorously, then pressed the drawing into my hands before running off. I stared at the simple artwork, my heart cracking open in ways I'd forgotten were possible. The explosion ripped through my Western warehouse at 3 in the morning. I arrived to find flames consuming 20 million in product and equipment. My men had barely escaped. Zanetti? I asked Vittorio. He nodded grimly. They left a message, spray painted on the wall. He showed me his phone. The message read, "The woman dies next." My chest constricted. I immediately called my head of security. "Get someone to Livia Castellano's apartment. Now." "Already done, boss. But there's a problem." "What problem?" "She's not there. Neighbors said she left an hour ago. Said something about going to the night market." The night market was in Zanetti territory. My hands shook as I grabbed my coat. "Get every available man. We're going hunting." I found her surrounded by 4 Zanetti soldiers in an alley behind the market. She had a knife pointed at them, her medical bag on the ground, clearly interrupted while helping someone injured. The soldiers hadn't touched her yet, just circled like wolves. I shot the first one in the knee before they registered my presence. The others reached for weapons, but my men emerged from the shadows. The fight was brutal and quick. When silence fell, Livia stood there, breathing hard, staring at me with wide eyes. Blood spattered my shirt. I'd broken someone's arm with my bare hands. "You," she whispered. "You're really him. The Don." I stepped closer. "Did they hurt you?" She shook her head. I wanted to pull her close, but my hands were covered in violence. Instead, I removed my coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. We met in my private library 3 nights later. She'd insisted on coming, despite my warnings. She sat across from me, tea untouched. "We need to discuss your son, Arthur." "What about him?" "He needs stability, therapy, someone who understands trauma." Her voice was gentle but firm. "He has everything he needs, except emotional safety." The words cut deep. "You think I can't provide that?" "I think you're trying, but you're also running an empire built on fear. Children sense these things." I stood, angry, but she didn't flinch. "You know nothing about my life." "I know more than you think." She met my eyes. "I know your father's organization nearly destroyed this city. I know the secret that could topple everything you've built." The photograph arrived on Vittorio's desk the next morning. High resolution. Clear as day. Livia leaving my office, my coat still around her shoulders, my hand on her back. The angle suggested someone in the building across the street. "We have a leak," Vittorio said quietly, "or a rival with very good surveillance." I studied the image. "The Zanettis?" "Most likely. They're building a case, making you look weak." "Weak how?" He hesitated. "Distracted, emotional. They're saying the great Arthur Moretti has fallen for a waitress, that she's your weakness." I crumpled the photograph. "Double security on her apartment. Put 2 men on her at all times." "Boss, maybe you should." "That's an order." My voice left no room for argument. "I wouldn't let them touch her. Not now. Not ever." My lieutenants gathered in my study at dawn, all 8 of them, grim-faced and concerned. Vittorio spoke first. "We need to talk about the woman." "No, we don't. Arthur, please." Marco stepped forward. "The Zanettis are using her to make you vulnerable. Every moment you spend with her puts the organization at risk." "I'll decide what puts us at risk." "She's a liability," another lieutenant argued. "Cut ties. Send her away. Do it before." "Before what?" My voice dropped dangerously low. "Before I remember I'm human? Before I care about someone other than profit and territory?" They exchanged glances. "We're just trying to protect you," Vittorio said softly. "I don't need protection from her." I stood, ending the meeting. "This discussion is over. Anyone who touches her answers to me personally." The phone call came at midnight. Unknown number. I answered anyway. "Mr. Moretti." Zanetti's voice dripped with false politeness. "We have a proposal." "I don't negotiate with dead men," he laughed. "Tough words. But I wonder if you'll feel the same when we have your pretty waitress. Bring 50 million to the old factory, alone. Or we'll send her back in pieces." The line went dead. I was already moving, grabbing weapons, calling my team. But when I burst into my son's room to check on him, the bed was empty. The window stood open. A note in child's handwriting. "Gone to find Mama." My heart stopped. He'd heard somehow. My silent son had snuck out into the night, heading straight into a trap. I had to find them both before dawn. The city blurred past as my car raced through empty streets. My men tracked my son's path using traffic cameras. He'd taken a bicycle, following the route to Livia's apartment, but the Zanettis had intercepted him 6 blocks away. Now both were being moved to the abandoned factory district. I drove faster, running red lights, my mind screaming. The factory loomed ahead, dark except for one lit window on the 3rd floor. I parked 2 blocks away and approached on foot. my best men spreading out around the perimeter. Through a broken window, I saw them. Livia holding my son close, both surrounded by armed men. She was whispering to him, keeping him calm. The boy should have been terrified, but in her arms, he looked almost peaceful. I climbed through a back entrance, moving silently through the rusted machinery. Voices echoed from above. I reached the 3rd floor, just as Zanetti raised his gun toward Livia. "Last chance, Moretti. I know you're here." I stepped into the light, hands raised. "Let them go. This is between us." Zanetti smiled, touching. The great Don begging. Livia's eyes met mine across the room. "Arthur, don't." "It's all right," I said softly. Then to Zanetti, "Take me, release them. You have my word I won't retaliate. Your word means nothing." Livia suddenly spoke, her voice stronger than I'd ever heard. "He's not the only one with information, Zanetti. I know things too, about your organization, about the senator you're blackmailing, about—" "Shut up." Zanetti's gun swung toward her. "I've known Arthur since we were children," she continued. "I've always loved him, and I won't let you destroy him." Zanetti's men raised their weapons, but I was already moving. 3 shots, 3 men down. My team crashed through windows, a coordinated assault we'd practiced 1,000 times. Chaos erupted. Livia threw herself over my son, shielding him with her body. I fought my way toward them, taking hits, not caring. Zanetti aimed at Livia. I dove, putting myself between them. The bullet caught my shoulder, the depth spinning me around. Pain exploded through my arm. But Zanetti hesitated, just for a second. That's when Livia did something unexpected. She pulled a small pistol from her medical bag and fired. Not at Zanetti, but at the rope holding the industrial light above him. It crashed down, forcing him back. "Go," she shouted. We escaped through the loading dock as the building erupted in gunfire. Zanetti's voice followed us. "This isn't over, Moretti." 3 days later, I sat in the mansion's garden watching something impossible. My son laughed. Actually laughed. A sound I'd never heard. He was playing with Livia, chasing bubbles she blew from a small wand. The afternoon sun caught in her hair. My shoulder throbbed beneath its bandages, but I couldn't look away. She caught my stare and smiled. That smile did something to my carefully constructed walls. For 20 years I'd been stone. Cold. Calculating. But watching her with my son, seeing the pure joy on his face, I felt warmth spreading through my chest like spring melting winter ice. Vittorio approached quietly. "The men are talking. They've never seen you like this." "Like what?" "Happy, boss. Almost human." I didn't respond. Being human was dangerous in my world. But maybe, just maybe, it was worth the risk. Livia sat across from me in my study that evening, her expression serious. "There's something you need to know, Arthur. I wasn't entirely honest about why I came back into your life." My body tensed. "Explain." "Your father, before he died, he contacted me. Asked me to watch over you if anything happened to him. My father died 15 years ago." "I know. He gave me documents, information about vulnerabilities in your empire, people who might betray you. He wanted someone outside the organization to hold them, someone he trusted." She pulled out an envelope from her bag. "Someone who cared about the boy he once was." I stared at the papers, names, bank accounts, secret deals, everything my enemies would kill for. "Why give these to me now?" "Because I'm choosing you, fully. Completely, no more secrets between us." The days blurred together after that. Livia moved into the mansion's guest wing, officially as my son's caretaker. But late at night, we'd find ourselves in the library, talking for hours. She told me about her years working with traumatized children. I told her about the weight of running an empire built on my father's violence. "Do you ever want to leave this life?" she asked one night. "Every day, but it's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because if I leave, someone worse takes over. My father taught me that the best way to control violence is to monopolize it. Keep it contained." She touched my hand. "That's a lonely burden. It's the only one I know." She leaned closer. I caught her scent, something floral and clean. "You're not alone anymore, Arthur." Our lips were inches apart when my son appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. The moment shattered, but something had shifted between us. Something undeniable. Marco burst into my morning meeting, his face pale. "We have a problem. Vittorio's been feeding information to the Zanettis." The room erupted. "Vittorio, my oldest friend, my most trusted lieutenant. Proof?" I demanded. Marco threw down phone records, bank transfers, photographs, all damning. Vittorio sat frozen, not denying it. How long? I asked quietly. 6 months, he whispered. They have my daughter, said they'd kill her if I didn't cooperate. My rage warred with understanding. I'd have burned the world for my son. Why didn't you come to me? Because I was ashamed, because I thought I could handle it myself. He looked broken. I'm sorry, Arthur. I never wanted. He stopped, staring past me. Through the window I saw a car pulling up, men in suits emerging, and they were dragging Livia toward the vehicle. I was moving before conscious thought formed. Down the stairs, through the front door, gun drawn. But they had her in the car before I reached the driveway. I fired at the tires, but they were reinforced. The car sped away, Livia's terrified face visible in the rear window. Get every man, I roared. I want the city locked down. Find them. Now. Vittorio appeared beside me. Let me help, please. Let me fix this. I turned on him. You've done enough. Arthur, I know where they're taking her. Zanetti has a secondary location, a place he thinks you don't know about. I can get you in. I grabbed his collar. If you're lying, I'm not. I swear on my daughter's life. Let me help you save her. I released him slowly. Then talk, and pray you're right, because if she dies, you follow her. We found Zanetti in his fortified penthouse, not the factory, not some abandoned warehouse. His home, surrounded by security, cameras, armed guards. Arrogant. I assembled my best team. Vittorio provided the security codes, guard rotations, weak points. This is suicide, Marco warned. Probably, I agreed, but I'm going anyway. Anyone who wants out, leave now. No judgment. No one moved. We hit the building at 3 a.m. Silent infiltration, taking out guards one by one, reaching the penthouse elevator. Then Zanetti's voice crackled through intercoms. Welcome, Moretti. I knew you'd come. Your predictability is disappointing. The elevator opened to reveal him, gun pressed to Livia's head. My son stood beside them, held by another guard. Your choice, Zanetti smiled. The empire you built, or the family you want. Sign over your territories, or they both die. Time slowed. Livia's eyes found mine, and in them I saw everything. Courage, love, trust. She mouthed words, save him. She met my son, expected me to choose him over her, but she didn't understand. I'd spent 20 years choosing power over people. Not anymore. The territories are yours, I said, holstering my weapon. Just let them go. Zanetti's eyes widened in shock. Really? The great Arthur Moretti surrenders? I pulled out my phone, began transferring digital signatures, access codes, bank accounts, everything. Zanetti's grip on his gun loosened slightly as he watched his victory unfold. That's when Livia moved. Fast, trained. She twisted, drove her elbow into his throat, dropped low. I drew and fired in one motion. Zanetti fell, screaming. My men flooded in. Chaos erupted, but I reached them. Grabbed my son, pulled Livia close. A bullet grazed her arm. I threw myself over both of them as my team eliminated the remaining guards. Later, in the mansion's medical room, I watched Livia's arm being bandaged. My son sat in her lap, finally speaking again. Mama stayed, he whispered. Mama protected me. She held him close, tears streaming down her face. Always, little one. Always. I knelt before them both. I meant what I said. All of it. The empire, the territories, the power. I'd give it all up for you. For both of you. Livia touched my face. You don't have to. You just have to choose differently. Use power to protect instead of destroy. Build instead of tear down. I don't know if I can. You already have, she said softly. Look what you did tonight. You chose love over fear, family over empire. My son reached out, taking both our hands. Mama? Papa. I broke then, completely. 20 years of walls crumbling. I love you, I told her. I've loved you since I was 8 years old, even when I forgot your face. The Zanetti organization fell within weeks. With their leader gone and my allies seizing their territories, the empire restructured itself. But differently this time. I implemented Livia's suggestions. Legitimate businesses, reduced violence, protection for the neighborhood instead of exploitation. My lieutenants were skeptical, but results spoke louder than tradition. Profits increased, civilian casualties dropped to 0. Respect grew. Vittorio proved his loyalty repeatedly, helping dismantle Zanetti's remaining forces and bringing his daughter home safely. I gave him a second chance. We all deserved second chances. The city began to change, slowly, carefully, but it changed, and at the center of it all was a woman who'd seen a scared boy in an orphanage and refused to let him become a monster. She saved me twice, once when I was 8, again when I was 33. 6 months later, I stood on the mansion's rooftop at sunset. My son ran ahead, chasing pigeons, his laughter carrying on the wind. He spoke freely now, sometimes too much, making up for lost years. Livia appeared beside me, her hand finding mine naturally. She wore a simple ring, my mother's, the only piece of family jewelry I'd kept. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Giving up the old way?" I pulled her close. "I regret nothing that led me here. To you, to him, to this." Below us, the city sparkled as lights flickered on against the darkening sky. My city, still dangerous, still complicated, but no longer ruled by fear alone. "The Great Dawn," Livia teased gently, "domesticated by a waitress." "The Great Dawn," I corrected, kissing her forehead, "saved by a woman who saw past the monster, who remembered the boy, who loved both versions enough to give them a future." My son called out, "Mama, Papa, watch me." We turned together, watching him stand on a bench, arms spread wide like he was flying, and maybe he was, maybe we all were, finally free.